Good afternoon, community. How are you guys doing? It feels like it's been a couple weeks. Can you hear me? So much hype. Does the sound okay? Yes, you hear me. Loud and clear. Awesome. Okay, well, I know you're all excited to hear more about Beta 1 and our update here, so here's Mark.
Hey everybody, long time no speak. So, before a lot of other things, and we are going to talk about a lot today, I want to show you something cool. Now, you've heard me mention this backer's name before, and he started on a project. It sounds like actually he might have started this project not even long after we started the Kickstarter, because this thing took a while, and it is amazing. The backer's name is Failboat, and you've heard us mention him so many times over the last year plus for sending us pizza or t-shirts or popcorn, or, perfect for me, a stress ball. Been using it for the last 2 days. But what we're going to show you now is nothing short of the most awesome, amazing thing that we have ever gotten in the studio. It blew our mind when we opened it. So rather than say anything else about it, just going to flip the camera to our willing volunteers holding it up, and wait till you see this.
Okay, close your eyes. Ready for a spin.
Close your
Ooh, spinning.
Hello.
There it is.
So this is amazing. This was done on a 16th century loom. It's essentially a CSE tapestry, and it is just fantastic. You can see all the CSE people there. We've got the duck. We've got everything. It is incredible. It literally blew us away when we saw it. And Failboat, man, oh man, please don't try to outdo this. You've done enough. This is ridiculously awesome. It is amazing. And I just, flip us back so I can say this to his face, please.
I'm dizzy.
So, Failboat, man, you are just incredible. Your generosity, and not in terms of monetary, because you've timed things beautifully when you think we've needed them. And this thing is just, it's off the charts. We're trying to figure out, the only thing that we're trying to still figure out is how best to mount it and protect it, because it is worthy of just the best possible way to show it off. We're keeping it nicely wrapped up, sealed, away from any possible damage, because it is just awesome. And speaking on behalf of everyone here, man, thank you so very much for this. It really was an incredible, amazing gesture, which just wasn't, and for all the backers who are listening and other people who may listen, it wasn't just about what he spent on this. This was a real effort that he had to make to make this happen. It's easy if one just throws money at something and it is done. And this was far more than that from what he's told us. This was really a tremendous effort in terms of time and energy, and we appreciate that so very much. So once again, Failboat, thank you. So, next bit of housekeeping before we get to the update. Swag. So, at the end of March, we will be closing the store with Merchline. I'll have a greater update or a more in-depth update about that on our forums, but just letting you folks know that at the end of March, the Merchline store will be closing. So, that's it. Today's update. So no teasing, no nothing. Let's just get right to it. As I said in the email yesterday, we are not announcing a delay. So in case anyone thought that we still might announce a delay or an extension of the alpha period. No, we're not doing that. What today's update is all about, and the Q&A afterwards, is to tell you where we are, what our plans are for the rest of the winter, and what we hope to accomplish. So where we are. Last month, we started a soft crunch in order to deliver beta to you folks on time. We know we don't have to do that. I mean, frankly, it's the game industry. Most games, almost all big games, are delayed, especially when they announce schedules like we did. So it would be very easy for us just to say, yeah, you know what? We don't have to go into crunch. We don't have to try to work too hard. They're our backers. They're gamers. They understand. That's not good enough for us. It never has been. We promised you folks right from the beginning that we were always going to be transparent. We were always going to work hard, and we were always, no matter what, going to deliver our best efforts to you in creating Camelot Unchained. So now that we are almost into March, we have decided that soft crunching, which meant that a lot of the programmers stayed and other people stayed kind of voluntarily to work harder, which as usual shows you what kind of team we have. That soft crunch is now a hard crunch. So starting yesterday, we started working 12-hour days, 5 days a week. We're going to do that for 3 weeks. If at the end of 3 weeks it doesn't look like we're going to deliver on time, we're going to add more time to it. And we are going to do everything we can to make sure that beta comes out. Over this crunch period, we'll be adding some new things to the beta list. We'll probably also be moving around some things from the beta list. Everything is kind of fluid, as you can imagine. Things like, for example, lighting weren't in the beta list, and we're going to add another thing to the beta list that probably should have been there, that is almost done, that we've been working on for a bit. So it's all really good. I mean, we are, I actually saw this morning one of the items, and a reasonably big item, about to be checked off the list. So we are making progress. We're making very good progress, and frankly, we think we're going to deliver beta on time. I mean, otherwise we wouldn't do it. That would be an exercise in theater, and we have absolutely no intention of doing that. We talked about this. We talked about it at the top. We talked about it in the middle. We talked about it with everybody, and we all think we can pull it off. It's going to be hard, but we think we can do it. Now, that's all the basic stuff. In terms of other things for you folks, we're going to try to make it fun. So we're going to start streaming from the studio again. Because after all, streaming a team on crunch, what could possibly go wrong with that? Especially after a few weeks, right? So we're going to have contests. We're going to have live streaming. We may show off a surprise or two. We just have an awful lot. We want to have an awful lot of fun at the same time we're putting in these hours. So I hope you folks will join us for that. I hope you'll, participate in the contest. We may even have a button called Munchies for Crunchies, because one of the things a lot of you folks have said during our last crunch is, hey, we'd like to buy you pizza, Failboat, and others. No more pizza. We have a request from the team to Tyler after the soft crunch. No more pizza ever. So Lady J actually brought in lasagna and salad and brownies last night. So she's going to be cooking a couple nights a week to help, keep us away from the dangers of too much fast food, even if it's delicious. But we are, that's what we're going to do. And I hope you folks will join us. The live streaming will be fun. The contest will be fun. We'll have story time with Max. We'll do live streaming with Tyler. We'll have live streaming, for myself, some surprises. Andrew, whoever wants to get in front of the camera, frankly, we'll do it. We'll have trivia contests. We want to make this fun for you guys and also a little less stressful for us. because watching some of us embarrass ourselves on camera, boy, that does relieve a lot of stress. So that's it. This is going to be a very short announcement followed by what I am sure will be a very long Q&A. The good news, again, we are on schedule. We intend to do everything we can to make this happen. And we're doing that for you. You know, we're doing it for the backers. We don't have to do it. There is no obligation. There's no large corporate presence behind me saying it must ship on this time, on this date. There is no, just no absolute reason other than we want to do it for the backers. You guys have been patient with us. We couldn't have made this game without you. We wouldn't be in this position without you. And it would do a disservice, I think, to your backing and to your support not to make this kind of effort. And so we're making this kind of effort. And that's it. As always, look, we thank you for your support. We're really excited here. I was really, and so were members of the team, seeing one of the things that popped up on the screen today that was working really nicely. So we want to get this game in beta. We are looking forward to working, as I told you folks last year, of working on more game, less engine, because we're in a position that we can do that. And we told you we would. Well, you're about to start seeing the results. So that's it, and I hope everybody is excited by this. Let's ask everyone. So, you all excited? They didn't announce a delay, telling us we're still on schedule, and that we're going to be crunching to make it happen. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
It's okay, pizza enthusiast MJ. We'll come back to you someday. There's actually a person on the chat all the time called Pizza Enthusiast MJ and suggests different kinds of pizza we can have for the office. We'll come back to you someday. It's okay.
Oh, pizza enthusiast.
Yes.
It sounded like you were saying peace enthusiast.
No, pizza enthusiast. So many thumbs up. Woo! No sleep till beta 1.
Cool. All right. So, it's about 18 after 3. I'll certainly be willing to go to 4 and maybe even longer. So, folks, Q&A has opened. This needs to be focused on beta first. And if we get all the beta questions, done, we can move on to other subjects.
Yeah. Max, can you slow it down for me, please, if you're there? Okay, that's kind of a beta 1 question. Say Nanalong, save that till the end. We'll talk about the programmers at the end. Just let's start with beta 1. We'll get there. Okay. When do we get our invites to send to friends for beta?
Gifting is almost ready. We hope for the final test. We've been working on that, as our alpha and IT folks know. We've been working on the tech. We've been running tests almost every weekend, as well as sometimes during the week. It will obviously it obviously has to be before beta, and we're hoping we're going to run what may be the next to final round of tests this week. And once that's done, it's going to be automatic. You guys will be able to do it without us, which is a good thing.
Classes for beta or weird remade characters?
Oh, classes for beta. I mean, just as we said on the the checklist, having 3 classes per realm is without a doubt one of the most important items on the list. We can't call it beta unless we have those classes or have classes in. I assume they'll be the same classes. No reason not to. But yes, 3 classes per realm for beta.
What will crafting look like in beta 1?
Very minimal. Just as I said, it's going to be a very basic system. It is not intended to be the final crafting system. What I want to see in beta 1, in terms of crafting, is for you folks to see how the system is going to work in terms of more the details and the numbers than anything else. We want you guys to look at how it's going to work, because frankly, it can't work in beta the way it's going to work live, because everything live takes time, as we've said during the crafting presentations. You can't just mine a bit of iron, throw it in the purifier, then throw it into the Vox, or throw it in through purification in the Vox, hit a few buttons, and then a second later, out comes Excalibur. Obviously, it can't work that way. And even more so, it can't even work the way it's going to work once we go live, because it's beta. And since the servers for beta won't, especially for beta 1, won't be running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the amount of time that it's going to take you to go through the gathering, through the final stage of assembly, can't mirror how it would be live. So what I want to do is show you guys the numbers, show you the formulas, have you guys help us data mine this and let us know what you think, especially for beta 1. Obviously, as we get closer and closer to live, that's going to change. Then it has to start taking on the more realistic, not only UI, but the more realistic numbers. And that's what you're going to see.
Graceful Healer and Chan Swan, you guys have good questions. Just save them until after we get through the beta portion, then you can ask more open questions, okay? So re-ask that stuff. Let's see. Are classes going to be released according to schedule in beta, or rather as they are ready?
Probably as they're ready, frankly, because that's what testing is all about in alpha. So as soon as we got something up and running, I don't care if it's one realm, all 3 realms, 2 realms. It's about testing stuff. It's not about waiting until everything is in and perfect.
Are there going to be fully completed animation spells? Will they be placeholders?
Combination. Obviously, we're working on, now that the new animation system is in, Scott and Sandra are working on new animations. And look, the bottom line is no games, no MMO who's truly been in a beta as opposed to a more modern beta, your animations aren't final at beta 1, especially this early in beta 1. So there'll be new animations? Absolutely. Will they all be the final animations? There's 0 chance of that. There would be no reason to. Keep in mind that as the animations need to be tied to the abilities also will be changing during beta. So it would be sort of like, I don't know, putting a ton of voiceover work, if you were doing an MMO, into alpha and beta, where you actually paid people, especially people with real names, to do the voiceover really early on before you even know if the quest would be finished. That'd be kind of silly. Same with the animations. We're going to spend a lot of time, make them look really good, but to say they'd be finished at this point, that's silly. So no worries, they will be better, and they're all using the new system, but finished, not a chance.
Is beta going to be a play all you want or a weekend only thing?
Mixture. We certainly aren't going to play all you want. We can't run the servers 24/7. 1, that would burn you folks out. 2, that would end up burning a lot of cash. Our betas are, certainly beta 1 isn't going to run that way. No real beta runs that way. Will we have the beta servers open as much as we can? Absolutely. We want to get you guys in and testing, but not just to run them 24/7. And we also want to make sure, one of the things that we do want to do for beta 1 is, maybe not for the opening, but during beta 1, we want to spin up servers in Europe just to see the difference between running on Europe for our European backers and spinning up the servers in the US for our European backers. So expect a bunch of tests like that as well.
How many people will be in beta 1?
Depends how many show up. No, honestly, I'm not trying to be snarky. The vast majority of our backers have either beta 1 or alpha access. How many will come? I don't know. When we were just at Magfest, which I'll maybe talk a few minutes about at the end, I didn't think it was important enough to delay the announcement you folks were waiting for. We met with a whole bunch of backers who said they hadn't actually been in the game, even though they had alpha and beta, because they didn't want to burn themselves out. So how many will show up? I have no idea.
NDA left for beta 1?
Not for the opening of beta 1, most likely, but soon thereafter. One of the things that we want to wait for, because once we lift the NDA, we also open it up to streaming. We want the new lighting system, in and fully realized. We want the animation system fully debugged. We want, really the animations looking good. We want some of the new terrain in there. So once that's done, we'll be good to go. Frankly, Beta 1 gameplay doesn't worry me as much as some of the others things I've mentioned.
Will Beta include Starter Isles or be an altered, smaller world?
Oh, okay. If you mean the actual starter isles from the game, oh God, no. The actual starter islands from the live game would mean having the cities in for Beta 1, and we are certainly not going to have the starter cities in for Beta 1. That is a lot of time that has to be spent and a lot of resources that we are not trying to do for Beta 1. Not a big focus of ours at all. There'll be starter islands, but it won't be the starter cities. Way too early for that.
Can you please name one thing that is ready now for Beta 1, such as we just got picking items up off the ground working, etc.?
I wonder why you picked that one. No comment.
Okay. In terms of completion, how different will Beta be from alpha content we might have experienced thus far?
Extremely different. First of all, the classes. What you're going to see, and Ben's going to make a presentation on this before Beta opens up. You'll have a really good idea of what classes, what you're going to be seeing from the classes before you get into Beta 1. And what you saw in terms of any of the Melee folks is obviously going to be head and shoulders different than what you saw in Alpha. Same with archery, because we didn't have any in Alpha. So yeah, really different. In terms of running around in the world, well, you've already seen some of the new things in the world. You've seen the new lighting system. At least I hope you've all seen a little bit of the new lighting system. You'll see even more when we open up Beta. And remember, the opening of Beta doesn't mean it's the finished version of Beta. We're going to be putting in a lot of things right after Beta, soon after Beta opens as well.
Will we be able to build and destroy structures during Beta 1?
Yes. That was something that was on the list. That is something that's important, certainly to begin really testing. Testing the way we've done it is great, but now we want to give you guys the ability to not only build in safe areas, massively multiplayer safe areas, but massively multiplayer not safe areas. So that and the plot systems kind of have to be in for Beta before we can open Beta.
Aldovik, ask your gifting questions toward the end. Those are good questions. Is Beta the signal for citizen tiers?
Yes. Whether it will be at the opening of Beta or 30 days into Beta, I haven't decided yet. And I'm also considering whether we want to do the citizen tiers or a more expensive builder tier. I haven't, I really don't know. I'm probably going to go with the builder and then the citizen. But considering that we obviously have a lot of builders and we have a lot of founders, maybe the citizen thing might not be the best idea. I want to talk to our backers about it and let you guys have a chance to tell us what you think. Certainly they will not be the same tiers that you builders have, just as I said to the founders when we started the Kickstarter.
How deep is progression planned for Beta? A few days of play a week or more?
We're hoping that at some point in Beta that it's a full month of progression, and given how our progression system works, that's a reasonable amount of content.
How many servers are available in Beta?
We don't know. We'll spin up as we need. I mean, that's really it. We certainly don't want to put up too few, but frankly, based on what I've seen from our game and other games, I I don't expect all of a sudden, other than maybe the first few times, that's going to be all of a sudden all of our backers are going to show up at the same day. We'll be ready for it, but I don't think it's going to happen. It hasn't happened in most games that I've watched in the early stages of beta.
You said you're going to be moving things around for beta. Does this mean certain things on the checklist won't be in? If so, what's going to be moved?
Don't know. I mean, look, here's a great example. So one of the items on the checklist was, hey, have 2,000 people on an island. Well, do you think we shouldn't call beta if it's 1,900? So that's the sort of stuff. The important stuff we have no intention of moving, or what I consider important, certainly, or we consider important, like the classes. We're not going to say, hey, it's beta, we have one class. That would be silly. On the other hand, if we said that, hey, it's more important that we got lighting in or that we get other things in, and instead of having 2,000 people, it was, a lower number, yeah, that's not a big deal.
Will the crafting document be released before entering beta?
Well, since I just posted yesterday the 10 pages almost of questions that you backers asked us, and it's on the forums, I think it's a pretty safe bet that the document will also get released. It's really been a time thing. I mean, it's been really busy here since the beginning of the year. We've had backer visits, other interesting visits. It's just been very busy. So, especially when it comes to something like the crafting doc, which is my time, I just haven't had the time to go back and continue to refine that doc. There were other documents, other things that needed more time. So, will we see it before beta? Yes. Again, if you haven't been to the forums, go to the forums, find the topic. You'll find 10 pages of Q&A there from you backers. I mean, that's the thing. You guys had a thread open where you were asking a ton of questions, and I tried to answer every one that was either on point or that I could answer without talking about things that I didn't want to talk about yet. And since it turned out to be 10 pages long, you might find there's a ton of information there, and including a lot of things that weren't covered in the doc that I thought should be talked about.
There's a number of questions here, so I'd like to recommend some people go to CamelotUnchained.com where you can find the user stories. There's a beta 1 checklist, and that'll give you lots of particulars on the things that we're planning. So if I don't answer your question, you can definitely find it there. What will we be fighting over in beta? Control points, resource nodes, or anything else?
Like we said in the checklist, places of power. And again, keep in mind that when you say beta, or when we say beta, it's not a static thing. There's beta 1, and then there's the rest of beta 1 before we even get to beta 2. So what you're fighting on day 1 won't be, or what you see day 1 certainly will not be what you see day 30. It's all going to change.
What changes can we expect from the current alpha events and the release of beta in terms of graphics? He kind of talked about animations, but in terms of graphic and animations.
The new animation system went in. New lighting is going in. Other improvements are going in. That's what you can expect to see. Certainly with new abilities, we need new effects.
Skynet, that's really sweet of you. If you want to send us food, you can PM me in the forum and I'll give you info. Will there be any siege stuff in beta?
Yes.
Will we have manual aim during beta?
If archery uses manual aim, yeah.
Will the things on the checklist be tested by IT and alpha before considered completed?
Probably. There may be some things that would be on the list that wouldn't necessarily be tested by alpha and IT, so I don't know. But almost everything would be, just like we have done before with alpha and IT.
Okay, it looks like we're beginning to transition into other questions besides beta questions. Do you guys have any more beta questions that haven't been covered already?
Wow, I'm surprised, guys.
Let's see. Will island contestation be part of beta 1?
not sure what you mean by contestation. It's all.
Using stabilizers,
Do you mean, yeah?
Maybe.
Yeah, get an explanation, because if it means fighting on islands, yeah, of course you'll be fighting on islands. If it means taking up plots on islands, the answer is also yes. If you mean islands moving together for Beta 1, not a chance. Not on our list.
Gotcha. How detailed are we talking for visual customization for characters?
For Beta 1, opening in Beta 1, not a lot. It wasn't on the checklist. It's not something we consider important for Beta 1, especially since characters are going to be wiped early and often.
Okay. Will the depths be available during Beta? Well.
Why you even No, the depths, of course, will not be available during Beta. During Beta 1, sorry.
Can we submit a structure for destruction testing?
Actually, that's quite a good idea. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay, PM me in the forum and I'll pass it tomorrow. Let's see.
Oh, and don't forget, if I haven't mentioned it, building stability will be turned on for Beta 1. That's going to be fun.
Will any stealth classes be in the game by the time Beta is released? Let's see. Yeah, these are kind of repeat questions for Beta 1. Do you guys have any new stuff? Do we plan to have all stats working and ready for testing in Beta 1?
What we're planning on is the stats that are hooked up to abilities, to the components that you will be using in Beta. Sure. I mean, it makes no sense for us to hook up stats for abilities that aren't using the stats at this point. So the stats that are being used by the abilities, yeah, we want to have them hooked up.
As we get to Beta, what will your focus be? Business model, new stories, flogging the programmers in our team?
I'm hoping, certainly as we finally open up Beta 1, that I can spend even more time being design guy and less time doing other stuff. Because that's too much, certainly, of my last 2 months has been doing other stuff.
Are there plans to release any more races by Beta? Each realm currently has different numbers of races. Is this intended?
For Beta 1, no. We're not, well, I shouldn't say no. We might get the picks in. Certainly for the opening, we're not looking to add a lot of new races. We have enough that we have to get into the game. Once we get them all into the game, then we're going to look at adding more. I mean, that's the thing. The way the system works, and that the whole concept of not having a ton of armor or weapons or other items per race makes it easy for us to add races. So we really do want to keep the racial thing going. You know, the more races that, from my own perspective, the more cool races we can add, the happier I am.
Group sizes in Beta 1?
Yes.
Will crafters be able to mine or be just given mats to refine?
What will probably happen is there'll be a node or nodes that you'll be able to gather from. But real mines, no, that was not promised for Beta. We're not even trying to have that in for Beta 1. And let me actually, before you get to the next question, and let's be clear, folks. Opening a Beta 1 is not the same as the end of Beta 1. Opening a Beta 1, you have the checklist that we put out there. If it's things like the depths, if it's things like bubbles and the whole mining thing, no, we're not even going near there yet, because it's not as important as getting the classes in, as getting other things in. It's really, we need to, especially as still a small team, we need to focus on what the vast majority of our backers want to see, and frankly, the stuff that takes more time to debug, more times to balance, more time to get right. And so we're starting with the classes, because if the classes aren't fun, if we can't make basic combat fun, if we can't make basic archery fun, if we can't make basic healing fun, it doesn't matter if we have the depths at the same time or mines at the same time. We've got to get that right first.
Will camouflage be in Beta?
Well, we have archers.
Will the ability builder be updated, and will be able to move skills around in beta?
Well, we have to obviously update it because we have classes, so it's not the same thing.
Will there be any creatures in the game?
NPC guards, maybe, but that's not. Those are one of those items that I don't consider a priority. And if you look at again items on the list that might not make it, if I had to sacrifice NPC guards to get better building block destruction and plots and other things, I'd happily do that. What's important in the opening of beta is for you guys to be able to go out, create classes, go to the islands, and start wailing on each other to see how the new animation system is working, see how the ability system is working. That's what's crucial. Building destruction, having tons of buildings being built at the same time by you folks. That's what's real. That sort of stuff is what's really important. And again, if we can't get that right now, then why should we move on to other things? We need to get that stuff right, and we need to get that right first.
Concerns from new people about restrictions of one realm per server for testing purposes and how that will look when you get into the game.
No, that's not a problem. Obviously, we're not going to... that would be kind of silly of us to restrict you folks to only one realm per server when there might only be a handful of servers for our beta folks. No, just like it is now, you can choose any class, any realm. We don't care. It's, beta 1 for gosh sakes.
Will you be able to make guilds?
Maybe. It's certainly something we want to see done. It's on the list. And, will it make it? Will we make it? We'll have to see. Again, if you look at everything on the list and you look at things that may pop up during the remainder of the winter, if there's something that's a higher priority, we will change it. It's really that simple. All of our lists, any of these lists in any kind of, whether it's our game or other games, are subject to change. And if we decide that, hey, it's more important that the programmers who would have been putting this in are instead putting in something that has a higher priority, like the animation system, well, of course we're going to do that.
Is beta replacing Friday Night Fights?
Maybe. I would love to see Friday Night Fights continue. If we have the time, I'd like to, certainly do a little bit more with it. I think the concept was good. We just have to make it a little bit more fun.
Will Beta 1 contain some sort of final game speed, or will it be faster than the Alpha?
Oh, I assume it will be well, some things will be faster than the Alpha. Some things might be slower, not travel speed, than the Alpha. We'll see. It's now, as we go into Beta 1, for example, we want combat abilities to start to feel like combat abilities. And so we don't want to speed them up, for example, or make progression too fast. Same with travel time. We want to speed it up, or we may want to speed it up, so you guys aren't going to spend as much time running around the map. On the other hand, we don't want to make it instant. Same with crafting. We certainly can't put the same kind of time limit on crafting that we do in the real game. So that will certainly be a lot faster. So again, it's all everything will be adjusted to make the beta experience one that's good for testing, good for you guys, and useful for us. Because that's what it has to be in order for it to be a successful beta.
Will progression use the nightly report?
That's the plan. We've started work on that, of course, and we hope that will certainly be in for beta. It's that's the sort of thing you can't start too soon, because that's also ties into metrics and our logging and all the things that we need, not only for beta but obviously for live.
Will Banes and Boons be working for beta?
Some Banes and Boons will be. Obviously, all of them won't be. They can't be. That would also be silly. We want to get a sampling in. We want to get more feedback from you folks. And as we add more classes, we add more Banes and Boons. As we add more races, we will add banes and boons. So it's all a matter of, as always for me, building the foundation, and then you build the rest of the house.
Will weather seasons be predictable and realistic, or still spontaneously tested?
Spontaneously tested. We're not even trying to have a super realistic weather system for Beta 1.
Are we opening up social media integration in beta, like screenshots to Twitter, etc.?
When we lift the NDA.
And similar questions. Will there be keep tower control game in beta? Kind of answer that.
A separate keep tower control game? No, we're not certainly at the opening of Beta 1. That's not a focus for us.
How do you walk the line of gathering more feedback and bug reports that help daily, and yet know when to cut it off so it doesn't become never-ending beta?
That's just experience. Look, we've been talking to you guys and gals since the beginning of the Kickstarter, and so, I think we've been pretty good about listening to what you've told us, whether it's on the forums, whether it's in surveys, and we're going to do more of that. Look, at the end of the day, we know we are the folks who are making the game. We want your feedback. We solicit your feedback. We certainly have made a good effort, and will continue to make an effort of getting more feedback from you folks all throughout beta. We also have our metrics. We'll have our metric system that will track the sort of stuff that we need to track. We know we have to continue to listen. But we also know, as anyone who's listening to this, either live stream or the video, that you can't just listen to the folks who raise the loudest amount of noise. Even if it's sometimes means you make a mistake, we make a mistake, or you make a mistake. Sometimes backers, sometimes players are absolutely right, and developers are wrong. Other times, players have been wrong about things, and developers were right about stuff. It's just always a balancing act, because, look, as always, we're all human, and we all make mistakes. So will we listen? Well, will we hear you? Yeah, absolutely. And we'll continue to. Will we do what some people want us to do? Sometimes. Other times we won't. But at the end of the day, it's our judgment, and has to be our judgment, if we're going down the right path. But we will always solicit your opinion, as I, have since the beginning of the Kickstarter, and in obviously our other games, or my other games as well.
What can we expect for the plot system in Beta 1, and will it differ drastically from Beta 3?
Well, I can answer the first question. I don't know what the answer to the second one is, because I have no idea what the plot system might look like in Beta 3, because we certainly haven't spec'd out plots in Beta 1, 2, 3, for release. In Beta 1, you're going to have to be able to take control of the plot. You're going to have to be able to set ownership. We're going to have to be able to set ownership. You're going to have to be able to take over somebody else's plot if they're from another realm. We're going to have permissions on the plot, permissions for building, for example. So you can set your friends up to be able to build on your plot. Those are the basics. Will we have more? I hope so.
Why did we decide to go for archers as range DPS instead of a mage for Beta 1?
Because archery is a new mechanic. After what we did in alpha with mages, we have a pretty good idea about how the projectiles were working, and the darts, and all those wonderful things that we were flying, flying across the. Sorry, guys, I'm still recovering from 4 days at Magfest. Flying across the screen. And given the fact that archery in our game is certainly not the same as archery in a lot of MMOs, we want to get it in early, and we want to test the heck out of it. Because if we're wrong, we want to make a change to that system sooner rather than later. And so waiting to put archers in Beta 2 or later in beta 1 or whenever they went in would just be silly. It would have been a really silly mistake for us. We want to get it in, and we want you guys to start beating on it. Because frankly, as I said earlier, we want your feedback. And if it's no fun, great, we'll change it. If it needs to be tweaked, which I'm sure it will, we'll change it.
Do you already have an idea of how long you want beta 1 to run for?
Until it's ready. I mean, look, that's the bottom line. Beta 1 is a very important beta stage for us. It's certainly in some ways more important than some of the other beta stages. This is when we get a lot of the core, just as we built the core functionality of the engine first, now we have to build some of the other core systems and have them tested. Plot ownership, as I just talked about a moment ago, the initial classes, archery, all that stuff, building destruction. This is really important stuff. These are things that are both design issues and at some point in some of them serious technical issues that we need to test sooner rather than later. You know, as we move through the other stages, it's not that they're not as important, that they're not important, but they're not as important in some ways. Because look, even though it sounds silly sometimes to say it, but the technical hurdles that we've already leapt over, and the ones we're going to have to continue to leap over, that's more challenging to us or any team than adjusting how much damage a sword does, or how quickly you can refine a material, or what it takes to make a sword. That's stuff that is balanceable and is easily quantifiable. Some of the things that we've done in this game, and honestly, I think we don't get enough credit sometimes, are pretty big achievements. Whether it is the kind of battles you've been in already, with hundreds and hundreds of players and bots running around. That's a big deal. Building destructibility across a server, that's also a pretty big deal. Getting PhysX to handle all the objects that it's handling, whether it's buildings or projectiles, and doing it server-side, that's a really big deal. And it's something that no other game, at least no other game that I'm aware of, can claim. And it's the same here for Beta 1. We need to deal with some of those other hurdles during beta. Now, those aren't engine hurdles in the same way that networking is and frame rate is. But they're still pretty big hurdles. And, addressing them now and taking the time to do it right and get them right, that's the key. And that is unbelievably important to us before we move to the next stage of beta. And it's even more important to you folks, because you don't want us moving into subsequent stages of beta and pushing them. We build the foundation, we continue to build upon it with this stage of beta, and when we get it right, we'll move on.
A number of repeat questions on the NDA lifting in Beta 1. He had explained that it will lift in beta, but not at the beginning of Beta 1, so I'm sure we'll send you an update or some sort of info when that happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah, look for that, guys. Any updates on performance, especially AMD cards for Beta 1, or is this part of the testing?
That's going to happen as we move forward through beta. We have not, in all honesty, spent any extra time looking at AMD cards or even optimizing for NVIDIA cards lately. It has not been a focus of the team. We've got other things to work on. Just as I promised you guys, late last year, we started to move to more gameplay and not just pure engine.
How has archery been progressing since the archer class is intended for Beta 1?
It hasn't been, otherwise our alpha and IT guys would see it. We're going to get back to it. It's part of what we're going to be doing over the remainder of the winter.
Okay. Are we getting core mechanics implemented at the start of Beta 1? Wounds, trauma, body parts, obviously now, crowd control, guards, cleanses, all the things.
The things that will obviously pertain to the classes, yeah. That's why we are going into Beta 1 with those classes.
What is the latest find that I'm seeing about that Andrew is working on? Is that supposed to be stealth or veil walking?
Oh, I thought that might be the next to latest find. I don't know. You have to ask Andrew.
Let's see.
He's having fun with it. It's kind of cool.
Will there be speed buffs in beta, or we need to group up with a class that has speed?
But what are the classes that are currently in the game, or will be currently in the game? Archers, right? Healers, fighters. Doesn't sound like there's a speed buff class in there yet. We know that we have to have that, so there'll be that, just not in the beginning of beta.
How deep is air going to be at the start of beta 1?
How do you answer that question? I guess just limited by the abilities. The abilities need to interact.
Will you be able to block, parry, dodge roll, and have positional and reactional abilities?
When Ben gives his presentation on the beta classes, he'll be happy to answer that question.
Scrolling for new questions. Thank you for linking user stories. That's helpful for you guys. Should we expect better character models for beta 1?
As you folks have seen from the updates, John continues to update the models, and we're going to continue to update them. It's all a matter of continued refining.
Will Divine Intervention's Death Curses be active for any classes?
Again, save the questions about specifics about the classes for Ben. Don't want to steal his thunder.
Okay, guys, so I'm going to skip over those. Will there be UI multi-language support in beta 1, 2, or 3?
Well, certainly not for beta 1. It's not something that we have the bandwidth for, and it is not something, it's not because it's not important to us, it's not something that we can do right now.
How many materials can you craft with?
Right now I've only modeled 25. Obviously there'll be a lot more.
On the topic of ownership, should players be expected to defend their structures 24/7?
Well, no, because beta won't be running 24/7, and again, we're going to be wiping early and often. It's beta, folks. It's beta 1, and it's an old school beta, just like alpha. This is not. I will continue to remind you all gently that this is not a modern alpha or beta. We've been very clear about this, and even if it was modern, it's beta 1. So this stuff is meant to, to be destroyed. Your characters are meant to be wiped as early and as often as we can. It's just not something we can spend any time worrying about, and you guys shouldn't be worrying about it either, because it's beta 1. And we'd be wiping after beta 4 anyway, so it really doesn't matter.
How important will equipment be in beta?
Somewhat. And that's a hard one to answer simply because we've said from the beginning that gear grinding is not a big part of this game. So you're not going to have to go out and get, the latest and greatest and most powerful colored armor that you can find in the world. It's just not as important. But it's still armor. It's still a shield. It's still a weapon. So it is important. So it's up to you, really, how important it is to your character to always have the best.
Will circular construction be available at some point in beta 1?
No, not even thinking about that right now.
With the announcement of beta, are you expecting an influx of new pledges, and if so, what systems will be in place to handle the load and take advantage of possible stretch goals?
In terms of the load, we're not worrying about that at all, because honestly, folks, we don't expect that we're going to open the beta servers and we're going to get flooded. If we are, we'll deal with it, but I don't expect that to happen. In terms of other stretch goals, obviously we love to see them knocked off. I mean, it's a good thing. Having some additional money to spend on other things is great, and you've let us know what's important to you. We've let you know what's important to us. So we're going to continue with the stretch goal system. But how much we're going to actually focus on it to try to raise more, you guys know that really hasn't been something I really want to spend a lot of time on. It is not something that I think is really important for the studio. We don't need to do that. And even more importantly, we shouldn't be doing that, especially until we get into beta.
Will additional payment options be available with beta?
Well, we're looking at Stripe right now as an alternative to PayPal. PayPal has been having issues lately, which hasn't made me happy. And I've spent way too much time on the phone with them. Essentially what they did is they changed their UI, and when they did that, they broke a feature that was kind of important to people like me. And I was on the phone 4 times in the last 8 days with them. So, yes, additional payment options would be a very good thing, especially now.
Mr. Bill, to you, we never did get a duck pond that I'm aware of. So if you send it to the office, can you PM me, Genesee, and we'll figure out what happened, because I've never seen a duck pond. Thank you very much, though. We'll figure it out.
We'll have 2 duck ponds then.
Okay. Between now and Beta 1, will we see things starting to change in IT and Alpha, or will the changes all kind of happen in one update?
Oh, no. Yes, of course you're going to see them change. Nothing's changed. Why wouldn't you see them right away? As soon as the changes we're working on here, we'll put them up on Hatchery, and let you folks know about them. Same with Alpha. There is nothing different about how we're going to be, certainly updating you folks over, the rest of the Alpha period.
Other than armor and weapons, are there other crafting things available in Beta 1?
Probably not. You never know. But armor and weapons are what we're focusing on, because obviously they're most important. And bows and arrows, before I forget those.
One of my translators asking if the Alpha manual is to be updated for Beta, when will it be available to us to start working on it, because it's big and a lot of work.
Yeah, we'll definitely try to get to you as early as possible. And the other thing, thank you so much for your help. But what's also important to know, we're not rewriting the entire thing. I don't have the time for that, and I don't think Max would enjoy rewriting the entire manual just so we could say we have a brand new beta manual. What I think we probably should do at some point is, really look at what we can do to try to make your guys' life a little easier while you work with us, to get these manuals to backers who obviously would prefer them in their own language than English.
Are there any updates planned for Cube during Beta 1 or early Beta?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're continuing to do things with Cube as part of Unchained, so of course.
Will there be more biomes for Beta 1?
Yes.
Let's see. One of the things I'm most looking forward to is defending trade wagons. Any chance of having it in Beta?
In Beta 1? No. Not a focus of ours. Certainly not for the opening of Beta 1.
Now everyone wants to know when Ben's going to tell us about abilities.
Soon.
Damn. Okay, any new questions? Keep on asking. See a couple repeats on the different races, and you're asking some of that stuff that you can find on the user stories. It'll list you, that kind of info. With procedural generation, will there be a limit to the size it generates?
You mean the size of the world? Of course. You can't, well, you can, but certainly for now we're not looking to try to create an unlimited, size world that really, especially for this kind of game, isn't a lot of fun. In a PvE game, that might be different, of course. If you had a world that just kept going and going and going, and you would might be able to find all sorts of interesting things. But this is an RVR game, and so we certainly cannot have a world that has unlimited places for people to build things where nobody can get to them to attack them.
What are you most excited about in Beta 1?
the opening of Beta 1. I mean, look, that's the bottom line. I'm excited about getting the game to that point where we can call it a game. And as you folks know, I haven't been calling it a game until recently, because it hasn't been. It's been an engine on its way to becoming a game. And as we get into Beta 1, it is a game. It is a Beta 1 game, but it is still a game. And that, above anything else, is what excites me the most. I want to start playing a game and not just playing the engine. And look, I wish, we could have even more, game stuff in it. But as you folks know, and I know I sound like a broken record, we're still looking for programmers. We still have open recs. We still have a recruiter going out, 2 recruiters going out for us, looking, for people. We have Anna, and as well the organization that we use that brought us Mark and George. So we are, like a lot of companies, unfortunately, having a hard time getting coders. And so that continues to be an issue for us. The good news is, and you guys see it from our user stories, it isn't like the reason for not as much game stuff because we had to chuck out giant, bits of the code. We haven't. It isn't because we've had to spend so much time on systems that ended up just not being useful. And not having that through this period so far, that's a really good thing and testament to, the people here. So that's great. The downside is we still don't have enough programmers. We have the money, plenty of money. Please, programmers, we need you. That was one of the things I did at Magfest. I was happily trying to recruit from people at the show because, I'll knock on whatever door I need to knock on to bring more talent into the team. So, that's why I'm so excited about Beta. It is going to be a game, the beginning of a game, and that makes me very, very happy.
How big will the beta world be versus the current map?
I don't know yet. Part of what we're doing now is seeing just how far we can go. We're going to continue to push the boundaries of PhysX and our system. And so you'll find out when we do. That's the good thing, because we want to keep pushing and we want to keep pushing and see how many buildings, how many objects can we track, how many other things can we do that haven't been done before with this type of game. And that's part of the fun of the ride.
When can we expect more lore stuff? I love the stories, though some races are still missing a deeper dive.
More's coming. I wrote a story on the depths, another story on the depths, which I know Max is, happily working on, and we have other lore coming as well. But that too, is just not unfortunately, it's just not a priority for me. I had other priorities. As much as I love writing lore stories, I just have other priorities that are more important to getting this game out.
Will there be more water features, lakes, rivers, ponds available in Beta 1?
We'll see. We certainly want them. But no swimming. Not yet. Just drowning.
Let's see. What is the primary information on the programmer skills you need, and where can that be found?
Website. Go to citystateentertainment.com or go to Camelot Unchained, find out about us, and go to jobs. I mean, what it boils down to is we're still looking for senior people who have skills in C# or C++, though if you are really, really, really good in Java, I've been told, that going to C# is really easy. And we actually got a resume from somebody today who says he is extremely skilled in Java, and we're actually, thanks to what Andrew and the guys told me, we're going to, look a little bit more seriously at him. So yeah, C#, C++. If you have a lot of experience, that's great. If you're more of a mid-level programmer, that's also great. We love that. That's what we're looking for.
What has been the biggest challenge so far in the development of Beta 1?
Hiring programmers.
We're kind of stuck on that, you
I'm
guys.
sorry,
We really
guys,
should-
but that really is it. I mean, if you look, and I know it sounds like a broken record, and I apologize, but look at our user stories. We are knocking things out really quickly and continually. We're always updating those stories. We're always getting things done. The biggest challenge is just not enough people. It is, something that's plaguing, other games, certainly, even other studios. It's just hard. You're at a time in the industry where, frankly, it's a seller's market if you're a programmer. With all the money that's poured into mobile first, and then all the money that's now pouring into VR, because that's the next big thing, right? We'll see. It's made it a lot harder to get help. And so we're trying, and we'll continue to try. We love knocking on doors virtually.
What's the second hardest thing in Beta 1?
Okay. So second, let me think about that for a second. What is the second hardest thing for Beta 1? I think it's continued pushing of the envelope with PhysX. This was a real challenge. We knew it was a challenge going in, and the team has been doing really well. I mean, Rob has done some great stuff, really great stuff. With our engine and their engine, and we continue to push the envelope. And it just is. Look, it's hard. But right up along, at that same sort of level is the continued upping of the count network-wise that we can have in a small battle or in a small space in a large battle. I mean, you folks saw it during the last big backer and bot test. That's a heck of an achievement. That's hard. That takes time. It's one of those things that sounds a bit simpler than it should. Because when you say, hey, we want to have a large-scale battle, it's just moving tries on the screen, right? Triangles. And it isn't. Being able to support a large-scale battle, and by that I mean 1,000 plus, is something that not many games can honestly claim, not many MMOs can honestly claim that they have accomplished. And it is because it's so difficult. Because it involves stuff on the networking side, on the client side, on gameplay side even. There's so much involved in it. And it has always been a challenge for any MMO company. And so I think if you look at what we've been able to do so far, that's a really big accomplishment. So I think those are two of the biggest.
Okay, we're kind of running out of beta questions if you want to open it up. There's one more, but it's not specifically beta, it's technical. Is there any plan to get the x-axis working for displacement? That's about the last question that has anything to do with beta.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay, you guys want to talk about some things other than beta 1? You have questions on other things? There's a couple of programmer stretch goals and a couple of cube questions I saw earlier, so if you want to re-ask that, now's a good time. Have there been any thoughts about sailing across to other realms to set attacks during beta?
Certainly during the opening of Beta 1, no, that's not really important to us. Being able to go on your safe island, being able to go on the main island, the main RVR island, that's what's important for the opening of Beta 1. Once you can move from one place to another, setting up a boat system is really more art than science at that point. So, build a boat, sit on the boat, wait for the boat to leave the dock, you then sit and wait for the boat to sail the sea, and then you wait for the boat to reach its point where it lets you folks off. So not something that's a focus for us right now.
Will gifted tiers be fully upgradable to higher level founder tiers?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Can Cube create dynamic or moving objects?
Not yet.
Is the UI getting a facelift for Beta 1?
Yes.
Viking armor styles seem to have gone into quite a tribal direction with bones, furs, etc. What are the chances of seeing basic chainmail and other historical Viking gear?
Oh, you'll see all of it. I mean, look, the reason that we've done some things with the Viking gear is not because it's not historical. Some of it might be hysterical, but sorry. So yeah, lots of options are coming in terms of armor. It again, that's one of the things that hasn't been a huge focus for us right now because there's no point. There was no point in spending tons and tons of time creating tons and tons of armor before the opening of beta. And that's also something that's very easily outsourced. And it's something that, we have already begun, as you guys know, you folks know, looking at for the studio. So that really isn't a concern for us going forward. Once we have the system laid out that we need, which is what we've been working on, once you have the concept art, going out and getting that made outside the studio, not a big deal. That's one of those nice things that just throwing a little money at the problem solves.
Will Cube get an organized catalog of subsets for each material type?
Yeah, eventually. If we had more programmers, and hopefully it'll be a when, we would like to do a lot more to Cube. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that at the end when I talk about Magfest.
Will crafter-built structures have an ownership attached that can switch hands to the enemy, or will a structure just be for who is standing on it?
No, it's all about plot ownership. So yes, you'll be able to own a plot, and obviously anything you build or you allow other people to build on that plot is yours. Until somebody takes it, or burns it down, or both.
This may sound stupid, but what kind of combat should we expect in Beta 1? Scheduled large battles, small skirmishes, or just dual or small groups?
Depends who you get together with, right? If the servers are busy and there's a lot of people playing when you're playing, well, that'll be large-scale battles. If there aren't, it won't be. We don't need to test or do a lot of tests in small group combat to make sure the engine works. We know the engine works. That's not an issue. Obviously, having an 8-on-8 or a 9-on-9 or a 20-on-20, that means nothing to our engine. You've seen what it can handle already, so there's no need for us to do that kind of testing. How it falls out during the evenings or during the days, that's up to you folks.
We have some way to make doors work during beta.
That's what we want. Not a huge priority, but certainly during beta, obviously, at the opening of beta 1, not a big priority.
We'll be able to change settings of the game in beta.
Depending on the setting, yes.
Can we get more Michelle art streaming during Crunch?
Yep. Yeah, you've been through it. You guys know what it's like. We're going to stream, we're going to talk, we're going to laugh, we're going to eat lots of food, and hopefully you guys will enjoy what you're seeing from us, not only from the effort we're making here, but also what you're seeing inside the game.
On the forums, there seems to be a lot of support for a light melee DPS class. Is this a possibility in other classes?
Sure. I mean, look, just as with races, what you see now is a fraction of the ones we want to have. Whether we have them on launch, whether we have them post-launch, I'm all for a lot of classes and a lot of races. So anything that I'm up for whatever makes the game a better game for the vast majority of people. Because you can never make everybody happy. So if it looks like we can add a light melee DPS class, and it's a great class and the vast majority of people love it, fantastic. Works for me. So hang on, Josie. So I just want to give you folks a heads up. It's about 4:20. So I'm going to take 5 more minutes of questions, and then talk about Magfest for a little bit, and then sign off.
Seems like a Wild West type rush to get building plots on the capital safe island might happen. What's your view on this?
No, it won't be a problem at all. It just won't be. We have 3, each realm will have an island. There'll be fairly big islands, And again, these plots aren't permanent, guys. They just aren't going to be. And there won't be a land rush when we launch. Obviously, we've seen that in other games. It is not going to happen here. It can happen here simply because it is not like the old West, where you just get in your wagons and you go and see who can plant your stake, or your stake mark, or whatever that your stake. You're going to have to earn the right in order to get a plot, and you can't just go and go, this is mine. Not in certainly the lands that are owned by your realm.
Will the ability builder get more pieces than it had in alpha to make skills?
Depends on it depends on the class.
Will torches be a consumable or permanent item?
Eventually, they'll probably be a consumable versus a permanent item, especially if we have different levels of torches, but we'll see.
Will there be a chat system or still use Trillion chat?
Oh, so the in-game chat will be a much more fully featured chat. If you mean, are we going to still use Trillion for connecting? If you guys want to still use Trillion, it's really your choice. We're not using, Trillion. We're not using the Trillion back end.
Is the game going to natively support QHD, UHD resolutions like 2K, 4K?
That's a good Andrew question.
Is class balance important in beta?
In beta 1, not really, no. Just like we said for alpha, when you open an alpha and you have all those abilities that we had, having them balanced means nothing. It's a waste of time. Are we trying to have these more balanced than in alpha? Yeah, absolutely. But it's not like we're afraid to put them out and go, oh my god, it wasn't balanced in beta 1, we failed. No, obviously, it's beta 1. We don't want them to be, and I know Ben has spent a lot of time on this, we don't want them to be broken, OP, or silly, but it's not something that we would say to you, hey, we're going to hold up beta for another couple months to truly balance those 3 classes, because that would really be dumb on our part.
We get a chance to kill some devs on the battlefield during beta.
Oh, absolutely.
You can keep killing me, you guys always do.
Absolutely. We're gonna do the same thing we've done here, with the alphas and the ITs. We jump in, we play, and in some cases we kill you, in other cases you kill us. Maybe we'll start keeping track of that.
Okay. Blinded, you're gonna have to wait for the group size to come out. 9.5 mans. Okay, let's take one last question, and then Mark will talk about Magfest. Some of these have been answered. We'll answer the streaming question. Where'd that go? Will the office streams, wait, stop going so fast, be all day or for a time slot like tonight where we announce it?
Probably time slots, so sometimes we might have them all day. It really depends on what we have scheduled. Look, we certainly do not want to make the live streams boring. That's kind of silly. Nor do we want the cameras on all the time, especially if we had audio. Because sometimes we do like to say things that are not safe for work, or your work, not our work, because pretty much everything here is open and honest and fun. But we also, need some downtime ourselves where we can just relax and talk about stuff. So expect a mixture. Some live streams will be longer, some will be shorter, some will have just one aspect or one part, and others will have other parts, multiple parts.
Dark Age of Unchained, you've asked that question a number of times. There is a doc you can look at. It's a VSC doc on progression, and also on MMORPG.com, Timothy Tierless wrote a nice article on PvE, PvP, so check that out. It's kind of a long explanation I'm not going to ask right now. Okay.
Okay, so let's end on that. So, Magfest. So it was interesting for us. It's the first time we had taken Unchained out for the kind of spin we gave it other than DragonCon. DragonCon, obviously, we gave a presentation, and then we were done. This time, the game was up and running for 4 days straight, which is one reason I'm still probably a little bit hoarse and certainly still a little tired. It was good, really good doing a con 4 days in a row like the old days. The best part of it, and this was great, and not just the usual meeting the backers, which was fun, and meeting a lot of people who said, "Oh my God, I didn't even know about this game." That was a lot of fun. The best part for us was the amount of really good feedback we got. I mean, our booth was busy the entire time. We had a lot of people come by, lots and lots of people come by. The reactions to Cube, for example, and Necro's amazing new structures just blew people away. Absolutely blew people away. It was great. I mean, I can't even tell you how many people came up to the guys who worked the booth saying, "This is amazing. I had no idea you could do this. I didn't, think, it could look this good, et cetera, et cetera." And then the same with our game. Sometimes it's hard for us, whether it's you folks or us, being so close as we are as developers and backers to a project, to really understand what people who haven't seen it, people who are coming in with fresh eyes and expectations think of the game. And we got just an overwhelming flood of great feedback. Obviously, you folks have watched the number of backers and donations increase a lot in the last 5 days. So it was a fantastic time. We had a ball. The team who was there really worked very hard. We really just kept the enthusiasm going, and it was great. And again, it was especially great to hear just how many folks had not even heard of this game. They knew me, they knew Dark Age, they knew Warhammer, but they didn't know about Camelot Unchained. And that's one thing I've been saying to you folks from the beginning. We weren't going to spend a lot of time and money marketing this game until the game was ready. It was my belief, which is now even more confirmed, of how many people are out there who are just waiting for the opportunity to learn about this game. And as we move through beta, a lot of you have asked on the forums, when are you going to start talking about the game more? Well, that's when we start, when it's ready, because this hasn't been about trying to raise as much money as we can in the short term and trying to keep raising money. It's about making a game. And once that game is ready to go, as what we saw from Magfest holds true, which I think it will, boy oh boy, there's going to be a lot more excitement out there. It was funny. There were a number of times guys, like me and JB and others who were talking to people about, joining us, who said, "No, you know what, we're only PvEers, not interested in PvP." And then we would talk to them and explain to them about how this game works. And they would see Cube, and they would see the Alpha engine, and they were like, "Okay, you know what, I'll sign up." So that made us really, really happy. And it should make you happy, because we're starting to get that buzz. We're getting that reaction that we had hoped. And as we move into the next stage of beta, as we start to add more game, as we add the lighting, as we add all the other things that will make this game feel more like a game of this decade and of this year than of a decade before, or even some cases older, then we're going to get even more excitement. And you folks should be excited now. We are working our butts off to make this happen. Every member of this team is working hard. People are putting in lots of extra hours. They're putting in extra time on weekends. The folks who came with, who went to Magfest and just, were there either every day or almost every day, talking to people, just, was amazing and is wonderful. And we're doing that because of you folks, because of your belief in us, because of the fact that you have backed this game, and for the vast majority of you have been very patient as we've worked through obviously previous delays and inability to hire and all the things that happen during a normal development cycle, especially for a development cycle for a small team trying to do something hard. And that was one of the messages that really came across from people who hadn't seen this game, was that they looked at me or they looked at other people here when we explained what we were doing, and I cannot tell you how many people said, that's ambitious, or that's crazy, and I love it. That's the sort of stuff that gets me excited. It got me excited when we did that with Dark Age of Camelot, and people said we couldn't do it. It gets me excited when people say we can't do, said we couldn't do what we've already done. That gets me excited, and I hope it gets you excited, you folks excited as well, because whether we call beta in a few weeks or a few weeks after that, whenever we do, it is going to be something really special. And what's special about it is because we have already overcome technical hurdles that at the beginning of the Kickstarter people said we couldn't do and we couldn't pull off. And even in interviews where I interviewed programmers, even fairly recently, said, oh, well, we can't put PhysX on the server and do what we're doing. Well, yeah, okay, we've already done it. So that kind of makes me chuckle. So I hope you're all excited about this stage. I hope you're excited about the dedication we are showing, not just to our jobs, but to you, our backers. And that's the key. We have always promised how transparent we would be, how hard we would work for you, and that we would do everything to continue to earn the trust that you gave us back when we started the Kickstarter. And now, as we approach beta, as this team is going to be putting in a lot of extra time to deliver it for you folks, not for some corporate overlord, not for me saying it has to be done for me. No, it has to. We are going to do everything we can to deliver it for you. And I hope everyone who hears this, who is a backer, is excited by the opening of beta. But I also hope, and I really hope, that you're excited as well about what we're doing here for you folks, and for your trust, and for your support. And for that, now and for always, I thank you, and I'll see many of you on the forums. Thanks as always, folks, and it's time, to sign off.